I'm Walt Taggart, and I'd like to be your state representative in District 162. Here we are, part 2 of the legal thing. Why the courts need to be cleaned up. Why we should spend time and find out what's crooked about it. While working with a few clients, I've noticed something was wrong. I've seen it around for years. I just didn't understand it. I couldn't figure it out until one day, boom, it just popped in. There it is. So let me explain. I was working on a short sale for a client. Now, a short sale is basically the bank is foreclosing on a property. They don't want to go through the time and the expense of going through foreclosure, and they like to sell the property or sell the note to the property. That way they get paid off, the property gets sold, everybody walks away. Now, why would a bank do that? Because there were thousands of them, and they just needed to figure out what was going on, get whatever money they could at that time, and move on. Well, this particular problem was that we were negotiating a short sale with Washington Mutual. Washington Mutual at the time, this particular mortgage was worked out of an office in Florida. When you're talking to a bank and your mortgage is good, everything's fine, you're making your monthly payments, when you call the bank, 90% of the time you're gonna hear a recording. This is going to be recorded for training purposes and for what other purpose they've got. Once you fall a couple weeks behind, you don't get those recordings anymore. Those recordings are gone. Once you're way behind, then you get transferred over into loss mitigation department. Now, different banks call it different things, but it's a loss mitigation. That means they're going to take a hit. They just want to lessen the hit. So once you talk to the loss mitigation department, there's no recordings, there's no nothing. You're lucky to get a hello out of them. But they will talk to you, and they will try and work a few things out. Unfortunately, there was a really weird thing happening that we were running up against the clock with the foreclosure date, and we were really close on finalizing it. We had the cash, we had the lender, we had everything. Everything was in place. But we needed to extend it out 30 days, so we pull it all together. It would have been a done deal. Unfortunately, during that time frame, a tropical storm came in and closed down Washington Mutual's office in Florida. The foreclosure was 3 days away. The price to hold it, or the owner of the property, was $17,000 behind our mortgage payments. So the $17,000 would go to bring everything up, all the arrears, start over again. Unfortunately, we were running against the clock. Unfortunately, we were running up against the clock. The mortgage was going to take place in 3 days. There was a storm coming into the state of Florida, which might have closed the offices. So we were trying to get all the paperwork, get everything rifled through, and get everything taken care of so we can extend this out another 30 days and just get the deal done. Everything was starting to look pretty good. And then the tropical storm did hit. Every building was shut down. There was a state of emergency in Florida. Washington Mutual's office was closed. Right after that, we got transferred over, or tried to call other Washington Mutuals. Unfortunately, all the paperwork is in that office in Florida, and we couldn't get any help from anyone else. Which meant the foreclosure was going to take place. So we contacted the attorney that was handling it. Her name was Patricia Ballas. Now, Patricia did something that no attorney had ever done that I've seen. Just like in the loss mitigation, no one records, no one sends out nice little letters, anything like that. Everything's just, listen to me, this is what's happening. Patty made a mistake of sending me an email. I'll show you the email. So I sent Patty an email saying, hey, my name is Walt Taggart, I'm working on this short sale, here's the property is, this is the location, we understand you're the attorney, and we'd like to go for a 30-day extension on this if you can help us out. Great. So Patty sent me an email back. When she sent back the email, it was $27,500 is what's owed. Now within 2 days, 48 hours, the arrears bill grew over $10,000. Now think about it. I mean, really, it took me a long time. I've been in this business since '78, and I've seen it several times, and I could never figure it out until now. It's a scam. Patty Ballas was nothing more than a common thief. She wasn't extraordinary. I mean, she just lied, she forged, she committed bank fraud. Turns out a lot of attorneys do. Trying to embezzle you? Yeah, sure, that's it. A couple other illegal things? Yeah, sure. Wire fraud? Why not? Email fraud? Sure, it's right there. Whatever else. I mean, you guys, figure out what laws were broken. Enough probably to send her to jail for 100 years. If it was going to be pursued. Now look at the overall picture of this. This property did go to foreclosure. The $17,000 was set aside, ready to go, to be paid. The $27,500 was not. The homeowner lost the house. The deal was done. Sent Patty another email. What happened here? Please explain what the difference was. Now, it just so happens that foreclosure was taking place on Friday, I believe. That weekend, FBI was notified. Sorry, we're fighting terrorists. State police, go to state police. Sorry, we're fighting terrorism. Local police? Well, banks can do whatever they want. We don't know. Go to other attorneys? That doesn't sound right. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't complain too much. Here's if you want to file something against the attorney, go ahead and do it. We're not going to help you. You go to the local police says, I don't know, they can charge whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. No, they can't. But local police aren't set up for white-collar crime units. There was no candelabra in the library. Colonel Mustard had nothing to do with this. This was all Patricia Ballas. I'd be willing to bet. That over 60% of the law firms in Pennsylvania that handle foreclosures do something illegal with every foreclosure. I don't care what it is. Padding the bill, raising the bill, whatever they do, it's something illegal. That's a fact. I mean, I don't care who you are. So let me show you the email. But before that, I want you to think about this. With Patricia Ballas, she worked with a large firm. I would say during this whole process, over 100 attorneys, bookkeepers, and everyone in the office knew what was going on, or knew that it did go on. Washington Mutual knew about it, and then as soon as this thing finished, it turned out that Washington Mutual was just a servicing company, and they were servicing the loan for PNC Bank. So that means you can probably add another 20 people in PNC Bank that knew that this happened. So my guess is it's well over 100 attorneys, law clerks, PNC Bank people, Washington Mutual people knew that this went on. And not one of them picked up the phone and called the FBI or called up the state police. Not one. That's what's cleaning up the court is. That's a small part of it, but it's a big part. Let me show you the paperwork. This is the email that I had sent the foreclosing attorney. I'll let you read it. Okay, this isn't a chain on an email, so I have to start at the bottom. For the reinstatement amount that must be paid by 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning in cashier's check in the amount of $27,500. Upon payment, the first mortgage payment will be on September, and the first amount of $1,042.64 per month. If this is not reinstated, we move forward with the sheriff's sale tomorrow, August 22nd. We could talk with the potential buyer about purchasing the property from my client, PNC Bank, Washington Mutual. Again, that would be a purchase. And then I shot back another email. Could you give me a breakdown of the cost of the reinstatement of $27,500 for the loan? And this is the standard letter of response you get. The reinstatement amount is no longer relevant as the property is now owned by PNC Bank. As property owner, PNC Bank may mark the property for any appropriate fair market value. Now the problem with this was this section where she wrote it down, where everybody knows clearly the amount was $17,000, a little bit over that. There's quite a few problems with this. Are there issues with the courts? Yes, absolutely there are. Are people looking into it? Absolutely not. Not that you can see, not that I can see. 2 years ago, that was a real hot topic in the election for judges. We're going to clean up the courts. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to make everything good. The courts cannot do it. Laws have to be passed. People have to look into it, come up with changes. Now, do I blame the FBI? Yeah, sure. They could have done something different. They could have contracted policemen, state policemen, to go out and look for these. Look at these issues to see if they're warranted and see if they could make the next step in getting involved. They could have done the same thing in Parkland. While those students were killed and faculty, that was crazy. They were called up, the FBI was called up, and they were too busy. They weren't worthy enough. Well, in this case here, we're not worthy enough. Do I blame the regular FBI agent? No, of course not. That's a management issue. Management needs to find a way to investigate everything. The state police, that's a bigger disappointment to me than the FBI. They should be there for you. You call the state police, they should be there at least within 24 hours. White collar crime, it's the crime of the future. There's no doubt about it. You can see that right now every time you turn on your computer. White collar crime's the way to go. No one enforces it. No one does anything about it. And if they do, it's just a whitewash. Or if they do, they'll pick one or two cases and say, yeah, here, we've done this. This case, Patty could have up and arrested a couple days. So there's a couple issues with this. One, the courts need to be cleaned out. Second, as we've seen with the Catholic Church, the statute of limitations. Me personally, I believe if you're a person of power and you abuse someone, or you steal something from them, or you do something on top of them where they're defenseless people, then you ought to be looking over your shoulder every day of your life. The statute of limitation needs to be looked into, needs to be adjusted. Example. If you're an attorney and you steal, embezzle, try to embezzle, use fraud, anything more than $10,000, yeah, statute of limitations should be wiped out. Should be no factor. This seriously needs to be looked into. And unfortunately, I'm thinking the people that we're going to send to Harrisburg has no idea about this. No idea about the statute of limitations. No idea about what's going on. So do I blame the state police? Yeah, absolutely I do. They should have looked into this. With the state police, do I blame them? No, I mean, I don't blame any trooper. Anybody who's in there doing his job is doing his job. What there is, though, is management issues. When people are stealing money from you and you call up the state police for help, what's it take to send an officer, a patrolman, or trooper off at 95 into our community and sit down for about 10 minutes to show them what you have? I know they lose a couple bucks on the fines they're going to pull people over with. But when somebody's losing a house, $10,000, whatever, it ought to be looked into. Oh, the big deal about this Patty Ballas died within a year of this happening. Now let's take a look at that fact. She's dead. I'm not an investigator. I'm not a policeman. I didn't look into it. I don't know how she died. Should someone look into how she died? Yeah, I think so. Here, Patty tried to steal $10,000. How many other $10,000 did she try and steal from other people? How much money did she bring in? Well, if you look at it, I'm guessing she handled quite a few foreclosures. I'm guessing she's been around for a while, and I'm also guessing that she knows what she's doing. And I'm pretty certain that this isn't the first time she tried something like this. Do I think maybe the FBI or the state police ought to look into this? Yeah, I think so. I think it'll open up a lot of doors for them and a lot of eyes. Pretty interesting, don't you think? Someone does something like this, and then she's dead within a year. I'm Walt Taggart. I'd like to be your state representative in District 162. What are the other candidates saying?